It's about 40% of the money raised, so
Yeah.
$85 million he's raised, about 40% of it is paid out in commissions successfully. You have a question?
Oh, yeah, I do. Thank you. And so, my friend, just a little background. My name's Alan Davis, and my friend told me to buy Bitcoin, and I went on the internet and it said it was a Ponzi scheme and a scam, so I didn't buy it. So I really hope it, to get a second chance here. But I wanted to find out if let's say that you got 18 people to sign up, and this is what I didn't understand. It sounded like if you got 18 people to sign up, that you would get the 3,000 a week. Okay, and then, but it sounded like when she was speaking that ended when it was like the 600,000 Bitcoin, Texit coins were printed. Can you tell me the relationship between signing up people and then when it's all maxed out?
So once we sell the 100 million mega hash of the mine, then the affiliate program does end. So once we have crowdsourced and fully built the mine, then that part of the program ends. So a lot of us who are team builders, we understand that we want hash power, right? Because the more hash power you have, the more coins you will generate over the long term. So whenever you do earn a commission and you match 3 left and 3 right, and you have the cash potential because you're also actively sponsoring people, then you might decide that you want to take that as hash power, because then you get 600 hash power instead of the 300. So it's like a buy one, get one free. So you get 2 for the price of 1. So a lot of people are really like stacking their hash power until they get to a certain point and they're like, okay, I'm good, I have the hash power. Like if this, carried on for 135 more years, I'm good with that number. So, yes,
I heard Sarah say, she was referring to mines, and I always heard it referred to, when you get 100 hash power with $1,000, then at the 5, it's like you said, it's a sweet spot, you get an extra one, and then at the 9, you get 2 extra. And I always heard it as 200 more hash power, but you said it's 2 extra mines.
right, it's the same.
Every
It's the
100 hash
same.
power
It's
is
hash
called
power
a mine for a seat.
So it's
Different words for the same
referred to
thing.
as either one.
It's the same, yeah.
Okay.
It's the same thing. And one of the special things about the builder pack is if you do the 9, you do the buy 9, you get 2 free, so you get 1,100 hash power, but then you get 3 spots on the tree. So you get 3 tracking centers on the tree. And each of those have the potential to make $3,000 a week. So you make up to 9,000 a week.
I have a question.
Yes.
I just wanted to know, first, can you define hash power? I always get a kick out of organizations.
Okay. Hash power is like gigahertz. It's a measure of how fast the computer is doing, but hash is, they call it hash because the computers that are designed for Bitcoin mining, they're doing computations called hashes, because what they're doing, they're taking a block of data called on the blockchain and they're turning it into a hash. So the hash rate is how many, it's like a speed.
You can kind of think of it as horsepower.
Yeah.
Like if you're building a big engine, how much horsepower you have is how much power you
Not
have.
always from one system to another. For example, I like to say Bobby for the $1,000 is spending about 10% of the money on computers. It sounds like he's selling the computers at 10 times the value, that's overvalued. But in a currency, because we're creating a currency, it has more value due to the network effect. So by spending a good chunk of it on advertising and on affiliate rewards to grow the numbers of people involved, is actually valuing the people more than the computers. So you can't look at our hash rate or our hash power compared to another system because it doesn't relate that way. It has to do with the number of people involved and the fact that he understands that because he's a currency expert. I just think that what's done here is.
I have one other question.
Sure. It's related.
Is there a minimal investment amount and is there a maximum? Wow.
So the minimum is $1,000 and 1 hash power.
But you could buy $100 of the currency on Dextrade right now if you wanted to, so that's a smaller minimum. And then there's a bigger maximum in the fact that you could buy almost any currency you want, there's no limit there. But also for the mining, although he had the limit of 9,000, he expanded that to 27,000 for each tracking center. You could expand each one to 9,000, so that's 27,000. They debated that for about a month, whether they should shut it down or open it up and they shut it.
Thank you.
I don't know how to ask this question.
Ask it.
And I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Or however this
Don't
works
worry, I
out.
can handle it.
Okay. When I heard Texit, I instantly thought of Brexit.
Right.
And I was like, wait a second, does this have anything to do with the notion or the philosophy of the succession of Texas? And I went onto the internet, went on to Texit Coin, and smack dab in the mission, it does say the succession of Texas.
Right.
I don't know if we have any legal experts, technically, in the House, practicing lawyers. But if we are to recognize the most recent national security presidential memorandum about domestic terrorism, I would look at it, but it's anything anti-government. So if you're coming out, most notably in the news is Antifa, right? I hate to take this conversation that way. But if we have an organization that is technically anti-federal government, what is our legal risk or legal exposure with an organization that is, pushing, not pushing, but mission-based towards the succession of Texas?
We don't have a mission based towards the secession from the Union, but
Yeah.
rather, if in the event that that happens,
We want to be
we
prepared.
are going to be having a currency that can hopefully help Texas in the event that that happens. We are not associated with any official Texas secessionary movement in any way, shape, or form. There's no donations to them. There's no sponsorship of them. They didn't support us. We're not related to Texas government in any way. We're just doing our thing without permission. Because just like Bitcoin, some anonymous guy created it without permission, we're kind of doing the same thing here. When I say we, I mean most in the back.
It's more like we're succeeding from fiat currency.
Right.
Exactly.
There you
Yeah.
go. Right.
Not the
That's
basic.
from financial theory.
Now, my question was, back in November, what was the value of Texit Coin when you got in?
Right.
13 cents when we got in,
And then it
dripped
went down to 80 cents. And I was like, what? When is it gonna go?
She was so nervous we got in. She said, "Oh my God, when is it gonna go?" And I said, "Well, in a way, it's already going because we were just over the 400th person that got in, and a month later there were 600 miners instead of 400." So I said, "In a way, it's already growing. It just grew by 50% every
Right.
month. If it grows by 50% every single month, you have any idea what it's going to do? It's going to be
That
phenomenal."
first week we sat on the couch and I was like, what did we do? Did we just buy magic beans? Oh my
I said, "No, we bought the Magic Bean Farm, baby."
Wait, it's gonna be great. I'm
It's gonna be
like,
great.
"Oh, all the while I was like working 60 hours, driving an hour, commute one way and DFW every day.
And we put the bulk of our savings in. It was a bit of a risk, but
It was
so.
fun.
yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Another hard conversation.
Yes.
Not related at all.
Okay.
So we can move past that.
Great.
When we look at just economics, right, we know the value of anything grows when the demand outpaces the supply.
Right.
So what are the things about Texit Coin that are enabling this demand without kind of getting into this oversupply where we are just, the computational power is so heavy that we are just producing so much coin to where maybe it outpaces demand?
Interesting question, but the mine itself only makes roughly 95,000 coins every day, sometimes a little bit less, sometimes it varies by about 10%, but the number of computers they add to the array that's doing it does not create necessarily any extra coin. That will remain relatively stable. The program's assumption was that maybe they would make about 120,000 coins a day, but it's a little bit less, in part because maybe we think, this is only a guess, that our hash rate is based similar to the Litecoin hash rate, and the reason why it's tethered is because we're merge mining Litecoin on the side to help pay for some of the electrical. So maybe we could make more coins, but is it worth it? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to de-link it or not. That's above my pay grade to answer that.
Jason, can I add that too? And I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but we are in the layer 1 mode right now. Our next phase is utility.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why he's doing his best right now, spending so much time on advertising to create the awareness. So when you ask, what's gonna be, how are we gonna get there? you know, and the more awareness that we have out there, the more advertising we have out there, you know, people are gonna know it, but we are gonna be turning it into, and these guys are gonna be perfect, because they're in Texas, you know, using it as a utility.
To the larger question of what gives the currency value, and not just the greater number of people, but something other than that, and I have two answers to that. And then number one is that if you just look at Bitcoin itself, nobody ever backed Bitcoin, but yet it has value. It's weird, magical. But part of the reason for that is, well, I've been looking at Bitcoin, and initially I had a list of 7 reasons why Bitcoin is better than gold. It has better monetary properties than gold, because it's actually more limited than gold. For number one, it's easier to trade, it's more anonymous, it's harder to counterfeit, little properties like this. Eventually, my list grew to 24 properties that Bitcoin has that are superior to gold. And Texit Coin is a lot like Bitcoin, but our competitive advantage over Bitcoin boils down to one thing: smaller transaction fees. And the reason why we're gonna have smaller transaction fees is because the Bitcoin mining is so big, okay? It requires about $10 billion a year just in electrical costs to run it, because there's so many computers. And the amount of money they're spending on computers is another $10 billion a year. So it's like a $20 billion per year cost they're getting, or maybe even more, because maybe they're spending more on computers. But they're only getting about 16 billion worth of Bitcoin mining, but the Bitcoin is going down every year, right, with the halving and such. And then the fees are, it's like 300 million. So they have a fee problem. Their fees are only gonna go up as the Bitcoin mining rewards go down. And so that's their problem. So if we have smaller computer array that's robust enough to handle all the transactions, if we can increase our block size to handle more transactions, but we have smaller costs translate into smaller fees. So for Bitcoin, it's $2 to $5 to get on the blockchain, which is why nobody will ever use Bitcoin to buy a cup of coffee at Starbucks. It's way too expensive. It's also way too slow. So ours is both faster as well as cheaper, which gives rise to better monetary properties. So we can be the workhorse money, a lot like silver, that handle the bulk of the transactions. So if we create like a better cryptocurrency silver type, maybe we can outperform things like Litecoin or Ethereum, which have also tried to fill in that niche. We're going to be competing with them. Even if we competed with them and failed, we'd still be a wild success, and there'd be tons of money to be made. So that's what I think are the real competitive advantages of what gives rise to that. We're not a stock. It's not just a mechanism of keeping track of things. We're producing a commodity that has underlying properties that give rise to that. I hope that explains that.
My understanding is that there'll never be more than 21 million Bitcoin.
That's right.
And there's twice as many millionaires and billionaires. So you're in a position where not even all the billionaires can even own one coin. There just aren't enough. And in terms of supply and demand, that's maybe one reason why Bitcoin keeps going on.
Well, also, is there a top limit? Because Nat did a presentation and he was looking through figures and stuff like your husband. And he pulled a figure out that was a top limit. Do you know what that is?
The top limit of hash power?
Of
or
what
how many
coins are gonna be mined? How many
Oh,
coins are gonna be mined for Texas?
353 million.
353 million. That's right,
353.43.
okay, 353, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, so, we all know the digital age and the crooks that are out there. What's gonna prevent hackers from hacking crypto coins in their computers and stuff like that? It's been done before. Wells Fargo has been hacked. Many banks have been hacked. Many big governments have been hacked. What's stopping them from accessing crypto coins?
So nobody really gets hacked when they lose their Bitcoin. What happens is the exchanges go bankrupt, and if you hold your crypto on an exchange, the exchange is holding it for you. You don't really actually own it yourself, and that can get stolen. So when FTX went down, to prevent that, they have these cold storage coins that keep your crypto tied to your crypto password. And your crypto password is basically a big long number, and it's etched into the coin itself, so it can't be hacked or broken into or stolen because it's always offline. So the way crypto works, it's like you've ever heard of the phrase 256-bit encryption. Another way to say that is 1 in 10 to the 70th power. It's such a long number that it's impossible for somebody to guess what the number is, or even to search for what your wallet would be, because there's just way too many. It's comparable to the number of atoms in the universe.
So
There's no way to
there's no bank of all these numbers somewhere?
No, when he's making those coins, the computer, like he's doing a random number generator, it does a random QR code generator that can't ever be hacked or found or traced or anything. Computers that are creating that have always been offline and then immediately erases it, basically, and then it takes that chunk of data, a random number between 1 and 10 to the 70th power, or even 1 and 10 to the 1,600th power, it can be that big, random number of it. No one would ever guess it, and then hashes that, just like we would hash a block. It's called one-way encryption. So it takes that chunk and translates it into another hash. That secondary hash that is linked to the first hash is called your A2 wallet address. And the computers can confirm very quickly that your original hash is linked to your other hash, but it's not stored anywhere. But they know and go, oh yeah, that's correct. They can confirm it really fast. Because it's a whole lot faster to confirm a one-way encryption than it is to discover it, which is what their computers are doing when they find each wallet. I hope that's almost too long of an explanation. If you read the original Bitcoin paper, it talks about how crypto is vulnerable to a 51% attack. If somebody were to create an array of computers that handle 51% or more of the transaction volume, they could divert the chain and then control. However, they probably earn more money by securing the network and adding onto the chain and making it viable, because the reward would be bigger, because you can only reverse your own trades if you even hacked it, so it's not hackable.
I'm sure there was one more question over here.
So, I think a lot of us can try to understand, take gold or silver or oil, they reduce the production, when prices go up, demand, inflation, all that stuff is tied to the US dollar. It's kind of understandable, whether it's stocks or any of that stuff. Whereas crypto, there's so many different types of crypto. Some are rising, some are crashing. What are the market forces that are impacting the value of crypto? Because again, we want to know why oil goes up. Well, they cut production and, or they enhance regulations or whatever, price goes up. Well, the market price goes down. Crypto is a whole different animal. How does that quick factor just?
I love this question. Can I answer this question? Okay. This is exactly why I didn't like crypto in the beginning, because I thought that there would be no true scarcity, because anyone can make a new crypto. We're making a new crypto right now. So what makes it valuable, right? If there could be 10,000 more different cryptos, why even bother, right? Okay, so if you think about, you have to compare. Compare to US dollars versus pesos, or even another awful currency that's inflated like the Zimbabwe dollar or whatever, right? If you think about it, the Zimbabwe dollar's inflation, does that take anything away from the US dollar? No, not one bit. Did the 10,000 fraudulent cryptocurrency rug pulls take anything away from Bitcoin? Same thing, they don't. So Bitcoin only really has to fear from somebody else who comes along and does it better, like maybe us. So I thought that there was no true scarcity, but the scarcity factor actually works, and the fraud factor actually works in Bitcoin's favor, just like in the paper money world. So, because pesos are awful and people don't like to hold them, what do? They go out and buy US dollars if they can. Same thing, these are their crypto scammers out there. What do they want to do? They want to take their profits and store them where? In US dollars? Maybe not. Maybe they're storing it in Bitcoin. So the existence of other scam coins actually gives maybe more rise to Bitcoin's value by way of comparison. So they don't take anything. And here's another thing I thought about that's weird. Like, the government can't stop Bitcoin. Bitcoin was almost invented in a way that they couldn't shut it down. It came out in the year when they shut down Eagle, because they don't like competition. But the way Bitcoin can't get shut down is because it's such a large computer array that if they, let's say they prosecuted 50% of the computers in the world that were mining Bitcoin, the rest of the computers would all keep it going, it would still go. So they can't shut it down even if they want to. That's a real power, and it's really a fascinating thing. So because of that gives rise to its value, because they couldn't take it offline if they wanted to. That's really wild. And so we're building a centralized, controlled, but decentralized computer array, hopefully getting into, say, 100,000, 200,000 people's homes, as well as 35 different computer arrays around Texas. So we'll have elements of decentralization, even though it's centralized and controlled by our array.
Alright, so I'm a cybersecurity engineer, so.
Whoa.
Nice.
Has Bobby had the blockchain audited by a third party yet?
It's all public.
It's all public. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he has though. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think he's, into paying extra for audits for what purpose.
From a cyber standpoint, that's. I know that's a question that came up, so.
I still
someone
don't
that I've
understand.
talked to.
Are you mining with us?
Yes.
That'd be a good question to ask on Tuesday night.
I should ask.
Yes.
I asked him two other
Yes.
questions last night,
Yes.
but that one just came to mind today.
Yeah, I would definitely put that in the questions on that Tuesday. We don't have to answer that one. Yeah.
This gentleman right here.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm not a computer person by any means. This is hard for me to navigate my iPhone. But, I noticed they have a lot of, YouTube videos that you can share with somebody. It seems like the ones that don't know anything about it, whatever, are easy to talk to, but if somebody's dealt with crypto and been burned, they have, 50 ways to Sunday on why this is bad, but they don't wanna take the time to check this out. So my experience has been, some will, some won't, just move on.
That's right.
It seems like I don't find anybody that's,
I just say that we're just here for the people that have ears to hear and the eyes to see, and if they can't see it, then just talk to someone else.
but I get inundated by my sponsor, different people, so many different, video clips or whatever. And then to figure out which one's the best for that person, is mind-boggling.
Can I throw something in here? Do you do three-way calls?
Can I do what?
Do you do three-way calls? That is probably one of the most effective ways if you have a person on the fence or is skeptical. What works for me, I still will do a three-way call with Thomas. Or, because getting a third party or another party to come in and give them a perspective, then it gives credibility to it. But third-party calls work so well, so don't give up on people. Just say, hey, let me have
I'm not
somebody.
getting up, I just say, you come back, let me show you what I did,
Yeah.
and I'll come back to you later. You don't
Yeah,
blow me off,
absolutely.
don't
Yep.
forget about me,
Yep.
I'm gonna keep coming at you.
I know, you snooze, you lose.
I have been a preacher, preaching Bible prophecy, and I've also taught a lot about minerals, and that's what I do normally, and what I have discovered is that the other person's mind is closed, there's nothing you can say.
Right.
I can answer every question, every objection, and they can come back with nothing, but if their mind is closed and they're angry or traumatized or lost money in crypto, they might not ever come back. The fact that we had a guy over here did lose money in crypto and then listen, his mind was open, that's the difference. You can't control it, they control it.
He's deals in different things, he's like, you look at it, like, tell him about it, oh, that's not Bible, it's not doing that. I said, man, it started out at 12, and now it's like, or something.
Everyone
What's the
has
saying
different
that
risk
goes-
tolerance levels and.
Yeah, there's a saying that goes, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person or the right thing to the wrong person.
I just explained, this is the use of it, going, you
Yep.
wanna buy the eggs, or you wanna buy the eggs?
Yeah.
I wanna have a
And my
person.
saying is, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's very successful in Ethereum, and I cannot get him into this, and he's made a lot of money.
Is his mind open or closed?
It's closed because he's set in his path where he's going today.
Don't waste your time, spend your time on the
But he's a
people
good
who are
one.
willing. We have a question, I'll come back.
Okay, question over here.
So I guess if we take this super macro, event, like what these dollars are doing is they're building computers, right? And these computers are doing all these computations that produce a currency that we can then trade the currency, right? Is there any exploration onto what else these computers can do? Like, could you potentially lease a section of these computers to do IBM Watson computations, partner with Watson, do it on a whole bunch of other things? I don't know, I'm just, essentially we're building data centers.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So once we get the layer one built, once we get the foundation built, there'll be other things, other projects built on top of the Texit Coin network. So, yeah.
All
we'll
layer two
have
projects
that.
will require, Texit Coin in order to run them. And so they'll have to pay and buy and wire and pay the Texit Coin back to the miners. So those fees will then also be earned by the miners in the future. So one example, the layer two token, and this is what sold me on the project when Bobby explained it on night number 1 at the Libertarian Watch Party when he invited us out on date night. He said, I've done this American Open Currency Standard and I was familiar with that. And he had a a very successful order for 3 million coin for a fair token. And he's like, that would take me an entire year of minting coins to fulfill that order. But man, if I had cryptocurrency, I could create that as a layer 2 token immediately just for them. So as soon as we build the mine, I can up and running and start fulfilling these other orders. I'm like, oh my God, I am going to invest in him because he's already been a success. So successfully, he couldn't meet the order, but he will be able to meet that now. So he knows how to make the pitch to sell a layer 2 token for a town festival or a fair token or currency. He's done that before. And with this at his back, man, he's gonna soar. He's gonna make us. I'm very excited.
I just want to pay homage to your guys' website. If anybody's on the fence, it's an excellent resource to go to. I've read every single article.
And we encourage people to copy them, copy, paste, put in your own affiliate.
Use it as your
code.
sales tools, yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it really breaks down all the nuts and bolts and explains all the little nuances really well, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, add your affiliate ID at the bottom, say contact me, take out our phone numbers, and yeah, just make it your own. With text, it's easy to copy and paste if you use that way.
No,
Okay. Okay.
I really appreciate all of you staying, and I.
And thanks for having us, it's so fun.